Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making a tumbler using my semi-transparent vinyl. I've had it for so long and I have yet to make a video on YouTube about it. So that is what today is going to be about. So right now I am mixing, actually I think a lot of epoxy because I was glittering more than 1 cup, but you would want to mix 5 milliliters, but you're only going to use about 2.5 because we are going to ombre some glitter onto this cup. The tumbler I'm going to be using in this tutorial is a 30-ounce no taper skinny from Griffin Blanks. I will have supplies listed below and some discount codes. Now, as you have seen me do before, I am adding blue alcohol ink to my epoxy because I am using CCDIY's Ultra Clear Fast Set over a white base, and I'm going to be using lighter glitter colors. The blue alcohol ink kind of helps counteract the yellowing that Fast Set can do. You're going to spread a very, very, very thin coat all over the tumbler, and when I say thin, I mean very, very thin. I am just dipping my finger into the epoxy and putting it on the cup. The glitters that I am using here are from Peachy Glitter. It is B3, Weasley, and Buttercup, and I thought those went really well with the vinyl that I wanted to use. I did end up adding poppets later on because I needed just one more subtle color to kind of throw it all together. But I started with the bottom and the top, the edges, and then just, the usual ombre. So, like I've mentioned before, and like you guys have maybe heard from other creators like Jessica Flynn, when you're ombreing a cup, you want to hold it at an angle and take it off your turner. I started with the darkest color first at an angle, and then I moved to the yellow at an angle, and that way I could take the next glitters, like the B3, and just kind of blend that into the orange, and then slowly blend it into the yellow. And this is when I was like, I'm probably gonna need another color in between this. So it took me a little bit to find the one that I wanted, but the glitters that I chose had kind of like an orangish yellow undertone, I guess, glow, I don't know, to it. So they all, in my opinion, went really well together. You're just gonna keep moving the tumbler back and forth at different angles just to get the glitter to ombre well. You are going to keep doing this until you have an ombre to your liking. When I was done and the epoxy was cured, I went ahead and brushed it with a dry brush, and that brushed off any excess. Now when I did this, I ended up getting some blank spots, and I think that's because I did not get full coverage of epoxy onto my tumbler. So just be wary, make sure that there is epoxy on every part of your tumbler. And then once the epoxy is cured and you applied your glitter and everything's good, you can go ahead and add a coat of epoxy on top. Now, since this is a 30-ounce tumbler, I went ahead and added probably anywhere from 30 to 40 milliliters of epoxy. As you can see some of those blank spots where the white was. This is partially one of the reasons why I typically like to base coat my cups the same or similar colors to what I am doing for glitter, because those blank spots wouldn't be as noticeable. Now, you'll see some weird spots on this. I originally wanted to do something with alcohol inks prior. I didn't like how it turned out. I ended up just wiping the entire thing down, taking the alcohol ink off, and some of it still stained a bit. And so I didn't think it was a big deal to still add the vinyl on top. So here we are. So this is a semi-transparent vinyl sheet. It's pattern vinyl that I sell on my website. There will be a link down below. This is item number 2042. It's called Autumn Floral. Now, semi-transparent, if you haven't gotten any of my vinyl sheets before, is a semi-transparent vinyl, which means that the white portions you see here are completely transparent and clear, and then the actual design on this specific design is opaque. So that means that I could put these florals on top of any color base and they're still gonna pop through. Now what I did, this is a seamless pattern, so I would rather use the seam on this cup. So basically I'm going to be piecing together the seam of the florals. Now I could have done a full vinyl wrap, but it wasn't going to turn out the way that I wanted to because the cup wasn't thick enough to actually make it seamless. So instead what I am doing is I'm just hand placing the portions of this vinyl. And this is one of the reasons why I really like this vinyl, is because you don't have to use it as straight up vinyl. You can literally cut it with scissors, cut out the portions that you want, and then you're good to go. So I am placing it on my cup, and as you can see, this is semi-transparent. So everything else is clear except for the design. And I went ahead and anything excess of the clear part, I tried to cut off because I didn't want any extra bubbles or wrinkles that weren't necessary. So to reduce the possibility of having more wrinkles and bubbles, anything excess that was transparent, I just cut off. So I lined this up since this is a seam, and you will kind of see the seam. I end up placing the decal over the seam the best that I could, but it still lines up. It's not going to be super noticeable unless you're staring at it. But I lined up the seam and had a portion of the design down. Once I knew it was right, I went ahead and laid it down. You can use a squeegee to pressure these into the cup, push it in. I use my finger. I'll use a squeegee when needed, as you can see here. If there are any bubbles, you can do the same thing you do with regular pattern vinyl. You can just take an X-Acto knife or something very sharp, poke a hole, and then push it down to push all the air out. So here I'm just lining up different portions. I went ahead and cut out this little individual flower and placed it. And I actually do this a few more times to a couple of the other flowers. The placement wasn't planned because I wasn't sure where I was going to want things until I cut them out. So I kind of just cut things out and then placed them as I wanted them. Again, super easy, peeled off the back, pushed it on. It's easy. This is one of the reasons why I decided to start selling these types of vinyl sheets, is because I wanted to inspire people to create more without making things more of a hassle. So these vinyl sheets and the sticker cow sheets and the sticker cows, I wanted people to be inspired to create, to challenge their creativity, to push everything to the limit without having the extra stress of, okay, I have to cut out printable vinyl and place it, but my Cricut or my Silhouette didn't contour cut it the way I needed it to, and XYZ. There's nothing more you need to do. You don't need to seal this. This isn't like a water slide or a clear water slide where you need to seal it or cheat spray it to make it show up or anything like that. This is literally vinyl you can cut, place on your cup. You don't need to seal it. You don't need to wait for anything to dry. Honestly, you could put alcohol or some other type of solvent or solution over top of it, and it's going to be fine. Some of the ink might come off a little bit, but it's not going to be a big deal. Now, I'm not saying soak your cup in acetone and the vinyl is going to stay perfectly fine, because that's not the case. But if you accidentally are cleaning your cup with alcohol and you swipe it with the alcohol, 99% alcohol, you're not gonna have to start all over because the design is ruined. It's gonna be fine. So I ended up cutting off some of the leaves on that bouquet because it was kind of interfering with the other portion of the design. So it wasn't a big deal just to cut it off. I used some painter's tape to level it where I wanted it, which didn't end up leveling it exactly where I wanted it. And here you see me again cutting off extra clear portion that was unnecessary, and taking off the painter's tape. And then here I am lining this back down and making sure it's fully on. I think I cut another flower, one of the individual orange and like dark green florals. I cut that and put it on the cup. And then I had different plans for this cup. I thought I was gonna like put a coat of epoxy over it and then do an outline. But as I was doing it, I feel like that those florals were so detailed that I really didn't need to outline them with any acrylic markers or add anything extra to them. But I also didn't like all the empty space that was still there. And even though there's glitter underneath, so it's not really empty space, it felt empty and I felt like it needed more. So I ended up taking one of my most popular semi-transparent vinyl sheets, which is this rainbow leopard, and I cut down a strip between the red, orange, and yellow. So I basically just cut out everything that was the red, orange, and yellow, and then I started hand placing those leopard spots, starting with the darkest colors over top of the yellow glitter, and then the yellow spots over top of the dark orange glitter. And I did that because the ombre was going from light to dark with the glitter, so I wanted to do the ombre of the leopard spots going from dark to light over top of it. And I just thought it would look cool, and I thought that those colors also went really well with the florals and its leopard print. Like, if you know me, you know I love leopard print. So I'm cutting off, I'm placing, and it seems tedious, and it kind of is because I'm cutting it apart. But in all honesty, it still beats having to use the print and cut feature. So this is going to be super sped up. It's literally me just cutting and placing. I will say with these vinyl sheets, they can be difficult to move. So if you make a mistake and you want to move the sheet to a different spot, I will tell you that it's less than likely that you'll be able to. It's supposed to be a removable vinyl that's used with these, but in all honesty, it doesn't move as well as removable vinyl. So make sure that your placement is where you want it to be, because you're not going to really be able to pull them up. I've had several other people use these sheets, and they also have YouTube videos about them. I am planning on doing so much more. I have so many ideas. So I am super excited, and I can't wait to see where you guys help me grow and help me be able to do the ideas that I have, because I really have a ton and I'm really excited about them. But I like the idea of being able to have these semi-transparent sheets and put them over that darkish orange glitter and it not affect the design. So I'm, again, really excited. I cut, again, everything out. I looked for empty spots. Once I was done around the cup, I went ahead and just took some of the yellow spots and placed them on the bottom of the cup. Again, with these little pieces, I did have a handful, maybe like 2 or 3 that had bubbles. I didn't push them down all the way. So all you do, again, is take your X-Acto knife, pop them, smooth it out, gets the air out, and after that, it's good to go. Now, I did take some Quick Coat from CC DIY, which is a urethane sealer, to coat my tumbler twice with it. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because no matter what vinyl or pattern vinyl or anything that I'm using, I always end up with bubbles where it is. It just happens. So this helps eliminate bubbles, and it helps for a smoother epoxy finish. So I did 2 pretty thin coats of the Quick Coat, and I waited for it to completely dry before I added epoxy. So here I have probably about 20 to 30 milliliters of CC DIY's Fast Set epoxy. Now, if you put epoxy over top of Quick Coat and it's not completely dry yet, you're going to end up getting like this white fog in your epoxy. So make sure that Quick Coat is completely dry before adding your epoxy. Then once the epoxy completely cured, I wanted to add this cute little Hustle and Bloom decal. The Tech Wrap vinyl that I'm using is like a opal, I can't remember the name of it. I'll get the name and put it in the description below. It's an opal vinyl. It's like a fire opal or something along those lines. I love it. and I just put it over top of the white offset of it. I made this in Canva. I'll have a free downloadable link to it below. It's going to be short. I stretched it in Cricut Design Space, and then I also added the offset in Cricut Design Space. So it'll come without the offset, but it'll be available for a free download, and the link will be in the description below. And then once I added that, you can also add quick coat over top of metallic or opal vinyls if you have a problem with them lifting. And I didn't this time, but once I was done, I went ahead and added my final coats of epoxy, sanded the rim, cleaned the edge, and it was good to go. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm pretty sure that this is a 35-ounce Skinny Plus from Stainless Steel Depot that they no longer sell. So there's that, because the lid is different now that I'm thinking about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave some comments below, and I will see you guys next time.